I listened to a long interview with Eric Weinstein. He said that people just don't believe in anything anymore. They've concluded that the pandemic was completely manufactured. Yes, the COVID virus was real, but it was intentionally manufactured in Wuhan, largely through gain of function research, which was largely funded from the U.S. under Anthony Fauci and others. That the vaccine appears to be good and it fights the COVID virus, but it is a bioweapon, which was created to hurt people, to decrease the population through myocarditis, heart inflammation, sudden death, blood clots. The RNA spike protein proliferates throughout the body and perhaps causes havoc in many of the people who took the vaccine. What I read, perhaps killing 3 or 4% of the elderly who took the vaccine. All the national and world organizations have been compromised. The WHO, the FDA, the CIA, the FBI. A lot of good people are in these organizations and do important good work. But the people on top calling the shots are puppets of an obscure elite who run everything. This world sort of government is not running in our interest. What do? We need government, of course, to build roads, stop the proliferations of nuclear weapons, fight wars, thousands of things. Greg Braden says that we've somehow got to establish relations with the space people, the aliens. They know about energy systems that are more potent than nuclear, solar, geothermal, electric. Nicholas Tesla knew about it and called it free energy. It's what the UFOs are powered by. It's the aliens whose craft the U.S., Russia have gotten a hold of. Perhaps the transistors we all use came from the aliens. Before transistors, we had vacuum tubes, which are nowhere near as good as transistors. I don't really know what I'm talking about. Whatever. There are people who channel so-called dead entities, Jesus, Mary, etc. Pamela Ireland, Cryon, Edgar Casey, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, Barbara Marciniak. They're in contact with the spiritual forces, Jesus, God, etc. Well, Pamela Ireland is alive right now. Have her contact, say, Ra, who channeled the book of Ra and the Law of One. The ancient people, the indigenous people, were obviously in contact with those space people. The aliens who constructed the pyramids, Stonehenge, Maya temples, we simply can't conceive of how these edifices were constructed overnight through telekinesis, teleportation, whatever. Yeah, they were appropriated as Pharaoh's tombs or even for human sacrifice in South America, something having grotesque statues and so forth. But these people didn't construct the pyramids, chicken and stuff. These things came later, with perhaps when the space people were no longer around, I guess. Now we have UFO hearings in Congress. They call them UAP, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon. Yeah, they say they're evil and we have to watch it or they're going to destroy us. Sure, I'm sure some of them are up to no good, like so-called grace. But for the most part, they're good, obviously. After all, aliens built the pyramids, etc. And they didn't come to destroy, conquer us, then why now? Well, Ra worships God or the Law of One. There's a whole space confederation, he says, thousands of planets with intelligent life. They know exactly what's going on here. And then what about Nibiru? The Ananaku are the people of Nibiru. The so-called 12th planet of our solar system, which revolves every 3,000 years or so around our sun. Jesus, Mary, Saint Germain, the Ascended Masters that Elizabeth Clare Prophet channeled. Let's read what she and Mark Prophet channeled. It's beautiful, profound stuff. These Ascended Masters know exactly what's going on right now on planet Earth. Of course, maybe God is really running the show, but we have free will. He doesn't want some authoritarian, maybe socialist, communist thing, which ignores God and is so stupid about what is really going on. Since 1945 or so, they know we of Earth could blow ourselves up, or we became capable of doing this. There are perhaps good space people and bad space people, but none of them wants us to blow ourselves up, which is exactly what's going to happen very soon unless we drastically redirect ourselves. And those who gave us the pandemic, and also the neocons in the U.S. And the military-industrial complex, which constantly manufactures wars to make money and to keep their power. Yes, there are a lot of bad people in the United States, but there's more freedom here than, say, in Russia, China, Iran. And, of course, there are good people there that are trying to break through. Perhaps we are on the cusp of either destroying ourselves or perhaps joining the Space Brothers who believe in God. Certainly Ra does. He says the logos of our system has a predilection toward kindness. The world is vast, the universe is vast, and it all makes sense. Ra says it's run by God, or the law of one. Then there is Lobsang Rampa, whose books I have read, who was a lama in Tibet in the 30s, 40s, who took over the body of a Canadian when his own, he was about to die. Anyhow, as a so-called walk-in person, he wrote books like The Third Eye, which talks about astral travel. When he did every night when he was asleep, he would go all over the world in his astral body. Also, he says he could read minds, well, whatever. All sorts of crazy stuff. It's a fascinating time right now on planet Earth. We could blow ourselves, or as we did 11,000 years ago with Atlantis, or we could really evolve. And also, of course, there are great things around us right now, like classical music, jazz, gospel, rock and roll, modern music, abstract expressions, and Van Gogh, French Impressionism, beauty, culture. The baddies can't control and kill us all. Hey, you know how authoritarian governments happen. They get people to believe somewhat maybe false things, like the whole pandemic thing, the efficacy of masks, lockdowns, social distancing, the necessity to get vaccinated. Stuff that seems to make sense. Then when people realized it was all a con job, they can't come out and say it, or they look like buffoons and charlatans who may have been used in things which killed millions of people. The mainstream media can't say, no, don't take the RNA vaccine. Take ivermectin instead for COVID, because we goofed. Because of our goof, maybe your aunt, your uncle, your brother, yourself may be killed. So they cracked down, and all the truth is called misinformation. And maybe, for the most part, people believe them. I'm really in hot water now. Thank you.